This lesson is going to teach you how to solve an equation that has variables on both sides. We're going to use some steps with each equation for teaching you how to do this. Step number 1 is to move all the variable terms to the left side of the equation. To do this, we're going to use addition or subtraction. Now, there's no hard and fast rule that you have to move it to the left side. We're just going to tell you the left side because you're used to seeing it on the left side and we think it'll be easier. If you'd rather move it to the right side, you're not going to get the wrong answer. You're just going to have to switch the variable over in the end. Step 2 is to undo addition and subtraction. We're basically going to reverse the order of operations. So we're starting at the end, just like you would with a one-step equation. Then we're going to undo multiplication and division. Let's go through some examples. When we solve this equation, you'll notice that we've got 4x on the left and 3x on the right. So we're going to start by moving the x's over to the left-hand side. Because we have a positive 3x, we are going to subtract 3x on both sides. It's very important that you line up your work and you show that you're subtracting 3x on both sides. On the right-hand side, these 3x's cancel. And on the left-hand side, 4x minus 3x is 1x. You can write 1x. Bring down everything else, minus 2, bring down your equal sign, bring down your 4. Now we're back to a two-step equation. Add 2 to both sides. This is the undo addition and subtraction step. In this case, we're undoing subtraction, so we're using addition. The negative 2 and the positive 2 cancel. Bring down the 1x. And 4 plus 2 is 6. Now, we dropped the 1 here because our last step would be to undo multiplication and division. So in this case, we'd divide both sides by 1. But when you divide by 1, obviously, we still get 6. So x equals 6. Now, when we check our answer, we're not going to do this for every single problem, but we're just going to show it once here. All you do is you take the 6 and you put it back in place of the x in the original equation. So I have 4 and then parentheses times 6 minus 2. And then on the other side, 3, and then in parentheses 6 plus 4. Now you just evaluate both sides. So on the left-hand side, 4 times 6 is 24. Bring down the minus 2. Equals on the right-hand side, 3 times 6 is 18. Bring down the plus 4. 24 minus 2 is 22. And 18 plus 4 is 22. So the check is a little different here because we have to do some work on both sides, but the result's going to be the same. The two sides of the equal sign should be the same. Next example. We're going to start again by moving the variables over to the left-hand side. Only this time I have a minus 6n, so I want to do plus 6n on both sides. Again, be really careful about lining up your work. 5n plus 6n gives us 11n. Bring down the minus 6. Bring down the 16. Obviously, the 6n's canceled there on the right-hand side. Now we're back to a two-step equation. We're going to add 6 to both sides. Again, line up your work. Show that you're adding 6 on both sides. Bring down the 11n. 16 plus 6 is 22. Divide both sides by 11. And n is 2. Our last example has some fractions, and I'm going to show you a different way here to solve this. It's called the clearing method. Many of you don't like working with fractions. They kind of mess you up. Some of you try to change them to decimals, only the problem with this equation is that 1/3 is a repeating decimal, so we wouldn't get an accurate answer. So what we're going to do here is we're going to multiply the entire equation by the common denominator. So put parentheses around the whole equation. Note that the common denominator between 2 and 3 would be 6. So we're going to put a 6 outside the parentheses. And all we're going to do is distribute the 6 to each part of the equation. And you can even write this out. So you could write down 6, and then a little times, and then x over 2. And then bring down your minus sign, and then do 6 times 1/3. Same thing on the other side. 6 times x over 3. Bring down your minus sign, and then do 6 times 1/2. In the clearing method, it's really important that you're multiplying the 6 through to every single term. Now, 6x over 2. Some of you are not going to be sure what to do with that. It's really just division. So 6x over 2 reduces to 3x, and you can write that right underneath. Next, we'd have 6 over 3. That reduces to 2. On the other side of the equal sign, we have 6x over 3. That's going to reduce to 2x. And lastly, 6 times 1/2 would give us 6 over 2, which reduces to 3. Now we've got it down to a pretty basic equation here, a lot easier to deal with than the fractions. We want to bring the variables over to the left-hand side, so subtract 2x from both sides. 3x take away 2x is 1x. I'm not going to write the 1 this time. It's going to save us a step. Bring down the minus 2. Bring down the negative 3. Now I want you to note that that 3 is negative. A lot of times when you get a multi-step equation like this, for whatever reason, students forget about the negative. Make sure that negative comes down as part of the 3. Next, we're going to add 2 to both sides. Still showing that work, lining everything up. And we're left with the answer of x equals -1.